I was addicted to porn at a very young age. Unrealistic expectations of what sex was supposed to be, what it was supposed to look like.
It gave me a sense of not treating women with respect. I had an addiction to the act itself. You over-sexualize a woman when you see them, teaching you that it's okay to jump from one person to the next.
Everything in your life is a puzzle that comes together. Through my relationship with God, He completely transformed this. He took this addiction out of my life.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Imperfect Walk Podcast.
Yeah, where we have honest conversations about faith, marriage, and personal growth.
Yes, great to be back. This is one of those conversations that might make a lot of people, most people, uncomfortable, but it's probably one of the most important ones that we've had here on this podcast.
For sure. I definitely know that it's making me uncomfortable. And it's because it's something that quietly shapes people without them even realizing that it's shaping them.
Absolutely. So today we're actually going to be talking about porn, and not just porn as in videos and things that you see, but we're going to talk a bit more on like a deeper than the surface level. Just kind of talk, as you mentioned, like how it shapes you, how it reframes the way you're thinking, how it reframes your mind, how you see things,
Yeah.
etc., etc., etc.
I know I was exposed to adult content a lot earlier than I should have been in life.
Absolutely. And, for us, neither of us realized how much it really affected us until we actually started noting these things, or we started releasing some of these things from our lives, and we realized how much it actually affected us on a mental level, emotional level, connecting level. And I
Yeah.
feel like this is something that a lot of people do struggle with.
Based on statistics, it really shows how much it affects people. And I think it affects women too a lot, but it's just not spoken about out there. There's nothing about it. And I think that's the purpose of what we're going to chat about today, just to be able to help people and give mindset and based on our struggles and where we were.
Absolutely. And just to give you guys some quick statistics here, the average age of exposure is now 7 to 12 years old. Yes, I said that correctly. A 50% increase in AI porn. That's wild.
Yeah.
I think I saw something on social media the other day. Somebody was talking about it, about the AI stuff. Like, people don't know what's AI anymore and things like that. And guys are doing like FaceTime calls with AI bots and things like that, doing all the kinds of stuff. I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's wild. Due to a high consumption rate, it's actually being linked to higher rates of loneliness, depression, self-consciousness. There's also been a strong link to lower relationship qualities, erectile dysfunction, and diminished intimacy.
Yeah, for sure. It affects relationships hugely, especially marriages, but it affects relationships, it affects your brain, it affects your thoughts so much. Is that all the statistics?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'll just start off. Yeah, and it's crazy. It's the AI, adult content specifically. I mean, OnlyFans, I think, did one thing, but AI is a very dangerous, in my opinion, very dangerous place to be in terms of adult content. Because it's like, number one, it's not even real. It's not even a real person. Number two, I'm sure that's insanely cheap to produce and you can make a lot of money off of it. It's hugely dopamine producing activity. And it's going to be like gambling for people. It's going to be incredibly addictive and incredibly destructive for a lot of people.
Yeah, for this episode, we actually broke it down into 5 different categories. And we're going to actually be kind of breaking down each and every point. The first one is the identity, what it formed in each of us. The mindset, what it trained us to believe. The consequences, how it showed up in our relationships and the things that we do in our day-to-day lives, so in our way of thinking. The turning point, what did we realize, and the transformation, what did we change? So we're going to actually go through each and every one of these points step by step. For all you blueprints out there, we can definitely dive into the identity. Now, what did it form in each of us? And we can get you to start off.
Yeah, for sure. I think for those of you who don't know my story in depth, like my testimony, I definitely recommend you check it out because it plays a lot into this specifically. But I mean, for me personally, if I'm just going to be bold about it, I was addicted to porn at a very young age. I was introduced to things that in the sexual realm at a very young age through other people, and it caused me to get into this addiction at a young age. And when I say young, I'm probably talking like grade 6. is probably when that started. You know, kids at school would be talking about it. I was introduced to different types of it at school with children who had devices and children who at the time I didn't have a phone, I didn't have anything. Yeah, so all of these things I was exposed to, and it led down a rabbit hole where I had so many unrealistic expectations of what sex was supposed to be, what it was supposed to look like, what pleasure was supposed to be, and everything that comes with it. And being at such a young age, it definitely over sexualized me. It definitely mentally, it definitely affected my self confidence, just so much. And I was definitely addicted to it in certain points. Just overall, the type of personality that I have, I'm more prone to be addictive to things quicker just because of ADHD, just because of just who I am. I find myself way faster to get addicted to things than the normal individual, right? Trauma, a whole bunch of things play a role in that, but that's just where I was. And so I had an early exposure to that. I had an early addiction to that. I just thought it was normal. I just thought like every kid kind of did that. I just thought every kid kind of watched that. And there were a couple of friends that I had that did, but I don't think to the same level or extreme that I did until maybe high school, where, you know, other kids would be doing crazy things that they would talk about, and it's like, oh, okay, like that's a thing or that's a thing. And so it just exposed me way too early to these things. And I didn't realize the impact that it had on my self-esteem. I didn't realize the impact that it had on my beliefs, on the way that I viewed myself as a woman, the way that I let other men view me as well as a woman. And I didn't realize the effects that it had in my life.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And
Yeah.
for me, kind of like some of the things that it taught me was, first of all, it just, I don't say that it taught me this, but it gave me a sense of not treating women with respect, if that makes sense, or having the lack of respect towards women or seeing women as an object, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because I won't say I had an addiction to it. I was introduced to it at an early age. And at an early age, I started putting a lot of those things to practice at an early age. And so I didn't really say I had an addiction to it. I had addiction to the act itself.
Mhm.
Whereas like at a young age, I like that's what it put inside of me. And it's like, okay, this is normal. This is what everybody's doing. This is clearly how everything is. And I saw women as objects now, not as actual individuals, not have it not didn't have treat them with a lot of respect. But at the end of the day, I didn't know how to be respectful. But a lot of the times, that's not what my mind always went to at first. Sometimes you over sexualize people, women, when you see them. You got thoughts in your mind. A certain things just start going on in your head that should not be there in the first place. And a lot of things, that's what he teaches you. And then now your attraction changes. So now when you're in, so like, as a young guy and stuff like that, you date in
Mhm.
high school and stuff like that. But at the same time, that's just teaching you that it's okay to jump from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, because then you will be with someone, you get attracted to someone, and you want to do things with that person, you want to be with that person, and then a different person comes along, and it's like, that's normal, right? That's how it is. And that's what you'd learn growing up and everything like that. And you just have certain expectations now where it's like, okay, this is where things are supposed to be. So when it's not like that, when you're not receiving or you're not getting what you want to be getting, you go look for it elsewhere. And that's why there's a lot of men who cheat because they have this mindset around this is what I expect from porn. I need to be having sex every day. My wife is not doing this for me. My girlfriend is not doing this for me. Oh, I saw this in this video. They're not doing this and that from that video. And now they go and try and seek that elsewhere. And it's that type of mindset that really messes with you a lot. And as me as a young age, that's how I started growing up. But it's the thing is I didn't watch it as a lot, but it was engraved in me. So even the little bit of times that I do watch it occasionally, it did leave engravement in me. So idle time is the devil's time. So every time there was downtime, the first thing I can think about is watching porn. No, back then is like first thing I could think about when I have alone time, when I have downtime. That's what it is. So then you're not thinking on high level now as a younger kid. You're like, that's where your mind is going to. You know what I mean? When they come home from school and everything like that. It's now, and then you take your time going through different things, this and that, yada, yada. But then when you get to a certain point, I always like that's what is shaping. Because one thing you learn is you have to protect your ear gate and your eye gate. What you see is what you portray. So again, with a lot of things that you see in these things, if you started looking at people and that's what you image, that's what you're seeing in people. So you're not seeing people as people, you're seeing them as objects, as images that you doing things that you've seen inside that. So the way you treat people, react to people would normally be different. And that's how that shaped my identity. It was not more so because of the watching, it's most of my actions thinking that it's okay to have multiple women. It's okay to be with multiple women. It's okay to be doing this at a young age. It's okay to be thinking this way because I'm a man. I have needs. This is how I'm supposed to be thinking. We're meant to be like this. You know what I mean? We're
Mhm.
meant to think like this is what this taught me to think, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and for me, it was like, I'm supposed to act like this, or I'm supposed to do this in a specific way, and I'm supposed to, let people do this to me or treat me this way because this is just what's normal.
Mm.
When the reality of adult content is that it is staged, they're professionals. It's like filming a movie. It's not actual reality. It's not actual real life. And especially not when you're in a relationship for a long time or when you're in a marriage or when you've had kids, things look different and none of that is shown or spoken about. And that's not even getting into like the psychological effects, everything else. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for the point number two, your mindset, what did it train us to believe? And a lot of these things I kind of touched on in the beginning here, but I had three main points. Is one is unrealistic expectations. Now, when it comes to unrealistic expectations, now you bring that into your relationship, right? And you have again, when you try to put certain expectations on your significant other, on the person you're seeing, and now when they're not meeting that expectation, again, as I say, you're going to seek that elsewhere. You cause friction and you cause arguments based on something that is false. That's not really true. Again, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, they're paid actors and you having unrealistic expectations for your relationship. You have unrealistic expectations where it's like you just put things in your mind where it's just like you have certain fantasies, right? And say, for instance, like a teacher, for instance, you might over sexualize a teacher. Think because you've maybe seen a video or something of that sort.
Or maybe you have trauma and it's different. Maybe it's something else that, you're searching up due
Hmm.
to your trauma.
Exactly. And you maybe like somebody might deliver something to your door and you're like, oh, what are the chances? Right? You start thinking about these things and now you're like over sexualizing every single thing that you do.
Mm.
And it affects you in everything that you do,
Sure.
right? And that's when you're single and you have these things for yourself. And when you're not getting into a relationship, it now
Mhm.
affects that relationship. And that's why there's so many breakups, right? A lot of time it's the man struggled with porn addiction. And now, because of that, they're having erectile dysfunction. Now, I'm not saying the woman is leaving him for the erectile dysfunction because the woman now believes that it's something with her. And the man well knows what it is, doesn't speak up. And now she just start having low self-esteem. And now over time, those two, they start build tension and it cause issues over time,
Yeah.
right? And then when the woman is feeling low on herself, it's a less chance of her wanting to do anything. So
And then the
because
cycle just
the
goes
sex
again.
continues because now the man is like, you know what? I've been watching these things. I want some, but she's not in the mood. So what he's gonna do? He's gonna go somewhere. He's gonna go to strip club. He's gonna go look up something, and then we're gonna try to get some sort of random hookup, go on the different apps and stuff like that. And that's how it causes that ripple effect.
Yeah.
And then that's on my that kind of touch on my second point a little bit, which is the performance based thinking. They start thinking of like, you know what? I saw her do this in this video, but your lovely significant other is not doing that. Like, well, why don't they do that? It's unrealistic. They are paid actors. That's what they were paid to do.
Mhm.
All right. And you just have certain things in your
Yeah.
mind. It's like, you know what? I should be having it 24/7. You know what I mean? I want to go out in the public and go to the bushes. It's like, bro, what? So like, what is wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? You just have certain like performance based thinking or unrealistic expectations. Like, it's kind of like the same. They kind of like go hand in hand,
Yeah.
right? And then you also have that comparison, like even subconsciously, where you just start thinking about, okay, this is what my sex life is. This is what their sex life is. And you just start getting coming to a sense where you feel like, you know what? I feel like I want it anywhere, anytime.
Mm.
Like go to a public bathroom, you know, go in the bushes in the forest, as I mentioned, because that's what these things are teaching you. And being like, this is normal. Honestly, like people not scared of bugs and animals and stuff no more.
Yeah.
Wildlife. It's crazy. But the thing is though, it's a what do they call it? It's a scene.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having fun in your relationship,
Exactly.
especially when you look at it biblically in your marriage, but in your relationship in general, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you are trying to come up with different scenes that you've looked at and watched, that you've seen happen, and now you're fantasizing that into your partner, and now it's a whole thing where you have those expectations, like you said, or you have that
Hmm.
comparison of what you saw here and it's not happening here. Like, it's not really supposed to necessarily happen there. It's like expecting a movie to happen in your life, right? Or like some reality TV show when that's just not life.
Exactly. And when you put that pressure on your partner now and you don't receive that, as I mentioned, the way you think first thing they're gonna go do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Either it's gonna be self pleasure or it's gonna be outside outside pleasure.
Yeah.
And it just causes issues over time.
Yeah.
And that's how it shapes your mindset.
Yeah.
It tug on your mindset. It actually pulls you astray, pulls you far from relationship to the point where you're like, you know, I don't even want to be in a relationship. I want to be single. I want to be able to test the waters. I want to have
Mhm.
different things. I want to try this, try that, try this person, do this, do that. And it's like you feel like that's the way. That's what it shows you. Right? That's what it shows you that it's okay to explore. It's okay to do all these different things. And that's not what the Bible teaches
Yeah.
at the end there, right? And it's
Yeah, I knew, like, for me, I definitely just I always felt like there was something off when I watched it. I always felt shame when I watched it. I always felt that it just wasn't right. It wasn't just adding to my life. But I just thought that there's shame around it, you know? There was like, oh, like, yeah, it's like it's a dopamine hit at the end of the day, just like
Mhm.
anything else. Yeah, there's pleasure in the moment, and no, it's not good for you long term. And that's the cycle that I found myself in when I was a lot younger. And it just took me kind of getting personally convicted by God to
You
kind
know,
of
it's
break out of
crazy that
that.
you always feel bad or feel weird and like, man, what am I doing afterwards?
Yeah.
You ever like a lot of people can attest to that. Like you always feel like you feel gross. You just feel like, what am I doing? Like I need to stop this and that. Why do you think that is?
Two answers to that question. Number one, the enemy doesn't want you to think about those things. Number two, your brain, like if you don't have that sense of like, if your brain isn't even developed, first of all, and you're young, you're just going to go with whatever feels or looks the best in that moment. You're just going to be like, oh, I want to do that. Let me go do that. You don't even think about all the repercussions that come with things. You just go and do it. You're like, I want to do this. I want to do that. And then after you do it, then you're like, oh, wow, maybe that wasn't good or I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
And I said all to say is like your brain, you just naturally know that it's wrong. Right? You naturally know that this is not something I should be doing, but because a lot of people just always seeking that dopamine hit, that instant pleasure moment. And that's why it's such a big hit because a lot of people are seeking pleasure, gratification from things that they probably lacked in
Mm-hmm.
the past, things that maybe they maybe never got gratification as a kid growing up. Maybe they never did a lot of these things. But at the same time, people just love to explore. But at the same time, you know that it's wrong, but there's something that still hooks you on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you got to figure out what is that hook and how can you change that. And the scary thing about porn, it's not just an addiction, it's secretly teaching you what to expect. When you think about a lot of these consequences, as I mentioned on my previous ones, some of them, the consequences, especially in a relationship, is again, the expectations not matching the reality. You find yourself always trying to unlearn patterns. You always find yourself feeling shame, guilt in every single thing, and you kind of beat yourself up. Now you stop putting yourself in different mindsets. You start
Mhm.
putting yourself in different mindsets where it's like you're like, am I gross for being this? Am I disgusting? Is this something I'm supposed to be doing? And you start beating yourself up and it start affecting you as a person, where you start being shy around people, you start moving away from people, you start being less communicative, right? You stop looking people in the eye. You stop speaking clear. You stop speaking with confidence because you know you have a guilt around what you're doing. I know that's portraying as yourself in person, right? And you start feeling a disconnect to the world, thinking, you know what, man, I should not be doing this. But then at the same time, you're like, oh, are the people doing what I'm doing? And then you try to seek that validation. You try to seek that crazy thing. You try to seek that validation to see if other people are doing it, to see if it's okay for you to be doing,
That was definitely me.
right?
I as a teenager, I thought that, like, all teenagers were just, like, doing that all the time. But as an adult, now I can look back and realize, number 1, no, not all teenagers do that. But number 2, I had a traumatic upbringing as a child, and it plays a part.
Hmm.
There's a reason why you do certain things that you know deep down subconsciously are destructive. There's a reason why you're doing those things, right? It may not even be that deep for you. It may just be surface level. It may just be for fun and pleasure. But there's always the facts that are out there that affect your psychologic abilities, capacities, lowers your confidence, increases depression, all these different things. And so it's obvious that it's not a great thing. You know what I mean?
And it's touching on what you're saying, you have that emotional impact, right? Where it's like, because you're so accustomed to that dopamine hit, when you're not getting that dopamine hit, you're an emotional roller coaster,
Yeah.
because you use that, you have that as a way to rewire. So when you're not doing that, you're like, you don't know how to regulate,
Yeah.
and you become a emotional roller coaster. And at the same time, is that you're not, exactly what you said, you're not understanding where it's coming from.
Mhm.
Like you said, a lot of people do these things because it come from a deeper root. Again, a lot of people start off doing it at a young age because of curiosity. Something sparked that curiosity. As you continue to go dive deeper and deeper, and the more you continue, when you realize it's wrong, something ain't pushing you to be more curious about it. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, right? Curiosity started it, but the past fueled it at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
it's now figuring out, okay, now where's that coming from? Why can't I stop? What's stopping me from stopping? If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Um,
And I remember one of the statistics that I read, and I didn't write down, but it was like 80% of men who do this, or who watch porn, do it to lower their stress. But even so, how dangerous is that? That the only way that you can, become less stressed and take that relief off of you is through that. That will be an issue one day. That will definitely be an issue one day if you don't know how to de-stress yourself with things that are adding to you versus taking away something. In some capacity, eventually that will destroy you. That will come in and cause something. And it's really interesting. I was looking into this, and adult content was used as a war mechanism back in the Vietnam War. And I had no idea about this, by the CIA. And they used porn, they planted it on the enemy camps, and it affected their mental so much that they got completely obliterated and they lost that war. This was a tactic that the CIA used in this war. So if you think about that, right, and you think about, okay, there's obviously a mental and emotional disarray that it caused these soldiers, right? And now it's an everyday, you can literally search it on your phone, search it on your computer, search it anywhere you want, and you can watch it. And it's so dangerous. So you just have to think about, what are the impacts psychologically and mentally and spiritually that it's actually doing to you behind the doors. And it's because these quick dopamine hits, the rush for dopamine, the rush for quick release, like whatever it is destroying you, because it's not building discipline. It's not building confidence in your abilities and your skills and your emotional regulation. That's like really what it's doing. And this thing was definitely an eye opener for me.
it's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah. I don't even know. I didn't look further into it to figure out how, but I'm sure you can look it up.
And now they're diving into like section 4, which is like the turning point, right? And it's like, what, when did we realize that this was really affecting us? And for me, trying to think back, it's just when you realize that this is taking away time from more important things, and you realize you're starting to rely on it a little bit more than you should be.
Mm.
You realize when you're starting to look at people differently and how you should be viewing people, right? And the more you continue to, and the thing is, the more you start getting around real men, having real conversation, you start realizing, you know what? This is something that's impacting. And the more you kind of you just read the word, you learn about these things. You realize you learn to guard your eye gates, guard the things that you do watching, you viewing, and how that shape your mind. And I'm like, man, a lot of these things, some of the bad things that are shaping mine, and just having these bold conversations. And some of the big things is when I started making these changes, I realized there's always been a change in how you think, right? How you feel like you're more mentally sharp. You don't rely on these dopamine hits. You don't rely on a lot of these things. Like thoughts will come, but you know how to take those thoughts and channel them into doing something more productive.
Yeah, that's so key. One of the greatest ever self-development books created, Think and Grow Rich, has an entire chapter on this, and how, like, yeah, you have these urges, you have these impulses, you have these wants and needs. And when you channel that into something productive, when you channel that away and channel it into something that is producing fruit in your life, that is key. And he studied, I think for 20 years, he studied the most successful men and he interviewed them. And that's where that book came from. And that's one of the biggest things he learned.
Absolutely. And it's just a man who knows how to control his emotion, to control his impulse, is a very powerful man. And when I first heard that, I was like, you know what, that is so true. Because when you can control these like impulses, these things, you realize that you have so much self-control. It puts you way ahead of so many people. Again, it's never easy because it's a lot of times behind closed doors. Nobody know what you're doing behind closed doors at the end of the day, right? But you got to get real with yourself and be honest on where you're at. And what are you doing behind those closed doors? How are you? And then at the same time, how are you feeling with all of these things, right? How are this impacting you on a day-to-day basis, right? What are those goals that you have for yourself? And a lot of the times a lot of these instant dopamine hits are blocking you. It's shaping who you are. It's this quietly shaping your expectations, right? As you mentioned. So a lot of times, like you could think it's just like I'm just watching this, I'm getting a quick one off on this and that, right? But at the same time, there's been studies that show that it actually impacts your thinking. It actually impacts your drive. Impacts like just if you with your spouse, whatever, like your attractiveness to your spouse because you have unrealistic expectations towards them.
Yeah. And as a Christian,
Exactly.
Also affects, it's also adultery when you have those beliefs and you look at it biblically. Because if you look at someone and yeah, it's just on a phone, no, it's not real, but you're looking at someone, you're lusting after them, you're imagining yourself with them, you are whatever else you're doing, and you're doing all that, right? Pretending that you're with them, pretending that they're part of that. And then you're going back to your wife, you're going back to your partner. What's the difference between that
And actually
and actually going and doing it? The line is very fine. And that's why Jesus said, like, just you believing and just you thinking about another person in those ways is adultery. Because it is.
Now you'd be surprised as how it's so many men who struggle with it, right? And you have to ask yourself, why is it such an easy thing to be addicted to? Why is it? And I can never really understand fully what it is, but I think it's just that expectation. I think it's just that quick dopamine hit. I think it's just that expectation that sometimes a lot of men expect it every day. And when they can't get it,
Yeah.
you know, some men got some morals. They want to cheat. They don't want to cheat. So they think that doing that is not cheating. So they say, this is the safest way, right? And it's like, You just explained it perfectly right there.
Yeah, you're
So
cheating with your mind and you're cheating with your heart and your
exactly.
spirit.
And there's a scripture that talks about that is like, if you look at a woman lustfully, it's still adultery at the end of the day, right? It's just something, it's something you got to sit and just think about. Why do I do this? Now, it all comes back down to finding the root. You find the root and you can figure out where is that turning point for yourself.
For me, I had to realize that the turning point for me was I had to realize where this all came from. I had to realize that I had I had an over sexualized childhood. My childhood was not normal. I had things happen that were not normal, that I had no control over, and that caused my brain to be rewired because porn does rewire your brain as well. Porn does affect these things, and so it caused my brain to be rewired so that when porn was introduced, it was already there due to other things in my life. It
Right.
was already there. I just thought it was normal. And so, yeah, I think it's so important to guard what you consume. It's so important to be intentional in your relationships and to have fruit in the right places. And if you think porn doesn't affect you, you probably haven't noticed what it's already changed. You probably haven't noticed the thought patterns that have changed. You probably haven't noticed the emotional changes, the lack of vulnerability, the lack of intimacy, the lack of emotional connection that maybe has slowly started to fade away in your relationships. Maybe you haven't noticed the uncomfort that it brings your partner. Maybe you haven't noticed yet the dopamine that you require just to function in your day-to-day life. You haven't noticed the dependency, and eventually you will notice, and eventually it will pop up.
And just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying here, some of the things that can really help, I can say help me, as well, is the first thing is take responsibility. Take responsibility for your actions and figuring out where it's coming from. How can you make change? I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight. You know what I mean? Like when I first went on this journey, I told myself, I want to quit. I'm gonna quit. You will have slip ups here and there, right? But then taking responsibility and actually not falling back into that addiction, not falling. And like I said, I wasn't really addicted to the point where it was something that I always needed to consume on a regular level, but it's just not doing it, period,
Yeah.
right? Not wanting to do it. And then also have discipline over impulse. So be disciplined when you feel that impulse to divert it into something more productive. When you feel it, do push-ups or something
Go for a run, go get a workout in. Yeah.
and trace it back. What caused that impulse? Were
It's
you
so good.
scrolling on your phone and things came up that diverted that mindset?
Did you have an argument? Did you have a stressful day at work?
Exactly.
What was it that triggered that? That's the important part.
Exactly. So like replay it back. When you feel the impulse, ask yourself, where is it come? Where's this impulse come from? What did I just do that caused me to feel like this, to want to have this urge? Right? And sometimes you gotta be honest with your partner. If you
Yeah.
having these feelings and having these things, tell your partner, be like, hey, babe, listen, I'm feeling like this right now. Your wife could probably be like, I bet let's make love right now. Just to help you out. The more you continue to do this, the thing is, the more you start to push that thing away and leave it in God's hands and be like, God, take this urge from me. When I was looking at it on a spiritual level, it's like you present it to God. Say, God, I'm
Yeah.
feeling this right now. Maybe read your Bible, read your word, read something.
Yeah.
Hey, God, I don't know where this urge is coming from, but I give this to you. And I just pray that you remove this from me right now and channel my brain into something else more productive.
Yeah. And the honest conversations part that you mentioned is so key. It's important that if you do have a partner or you're in a marriage or whatever, it's important that you have that ability to be vulnerable and that ability to make yourself uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's not about shame. It's about being honest with yourself and about growth and going to your partner and being like, this is what I struggled with. This is what's going on. This is my mindset. Getting an accountability partner, I think, is great too. And finding someone that you can be vulnerable with. Maybe that's not your wife yet or your husband. Maybe that's someone else in your life, like a mentor or a good friend. right?
Accountability partners.
Accountability
Yeah.
partners, yeah, and be like, okay, this is a situation. I'm trying to stop. Like, I need help, right? Maybe it's keeping your browse history open so that your partner can, if you've already broken that trust with your partner, like maybe keeping it open so that they can go look into it so you can't lie about it, or, yeah, going to therapy too could be good depending on what the root causes to this stuff are, and getting maybe some more hands-on, specific to you things that could help in your situations. I just think that it's not something to have shame about. It's not something to feel bad about yourself for. There's a lot of shame in the Christian community. There's a lot of judgment in the Christian community, and it's not supposed to be that way. God is such a loving God, and Jesus will embrace you and bring you in no matter what things that you are hiding behind closed doors. The biggest thing is that God loves you no matter what, that it doesn't matter how much shame that you personally have, that you personally carry, what addictions that you have, Jesus will still accept you as who you are. And when you come to him in an imperfect state, when you come to him like this, he changes you over time. He changes your desire. Yes, you could go and pray, God, take these desires away from me. And for some people, miraculously, they lose their desires. For other people, sometimes not. And it takes building that relationship through just speaking to God, through just praying, through just reading his word, through just worshiping, whatever is most intimate between you and God. And your desires will slowly fade away. You will feel conviction and you will start to grow. And it's not about feeling bad for yourself. It's like God transformed this area of my life. He took these desires away from me. He changed my mindset on a lot of these things through building that relationship. So I know that it does work. Going from where I was before I ever met you, like going from where I was, which caused me to have, toxic relationships, which caused me to allow myself to be mistreated. Like everything in your life is a puzzle that kind of comes together into why you acted certain ways, why you did certain things. There's always a reason. As an adult, as a child, like everything. And people don't just do stuff for no reason. And so through my relationship with God, he completely transformed this. He took away this addiction out of my life. He took away these urges out of my life, and he brought me an incredible husband. And through further healing, I was just able to grow past that, grow out of that, different expectations that I had, different beliefs about myself that I had. And I was able to settle into healthy relationship, healthy marriage, and still working on different things. But this has not been an issue for me. This is healed because of Jesus.
Amen. Everything you just touched on, everything you just mentioned a while ago is literally says about that. Because not once did you have to speak about it's because I was watching this, it's because I watched that. It's the actual act in itself, what it was shaping into you, what it was allowing you to feel about yourself, and the way you will think about yourself, right? And you start thinking, oh, this real? Is this what it is? And what happened was, if you don't confront it, it doesn't stay private. It follows you.
For sure.
And as you mentioned, a lot of the stuff when you gave your testimony a while ago, that just outlines of it, that it gonna affects your mindset, your relationship, the way you see people.
For sure.
And when I look at it from my standpoint as well, it made me realize that, especially growing up in the culture that I did, it's like it's okay to have multiple women. It's okay to sleep with multiple women. It's okay to, like, you and your friends to just be like, I have this amount, I have this amount, I slept with this amount. It's like it becomes a game now where it's like it's now competition, or it's always like a fun game. Men compare themselves to other men in terms of how many women they slept with, because we grew up in such a sexualized
culture.
If you listen to all the statistics I just read to you, because of all of that, how readily available it is, how easy it is to be active.
Yeah.
We in such a sexualized culture now. These are the expectations of men. Women are no longer women; they're objects. And this is
And
how we
now
operate.
it's flipping around too, where it's like men are objects as well now.
Absolutely.
They're both just objects now, because
humans are just objects.
everything is just over sexualized.
Exactly. Like, I try to stream sports, and there's always these
The illegal
pop-ups.
streaming,
Like,
the illegal streaming
It's that it's
Websites,
just
man.
always coming into your face.
Yeah.
It's always there. And that's
And
where you gotta
think about if a kid was there.
exactly.
It just takes one time for a door to be open,
Mhm.
for a child to be like, "What was that?" And for a seed to be planted.
Exactly. And that's why as parents as well, we should not be scared to talk to these things to our kids, to be honest.
Yeah,
Right? They should not be scared to bring
as
these
they
up
grow
because
as they grow older.
as they grow, because if we don't, someone else will.
Yeah,
And someone else will give them that explanation,
for sure. Someone
right?
definitely will.
Do you really rather that person be you? Or you rather be someone else? You know, you gotta actually let them get them prepared for the world. Get them
Yeah,
prepared for that real world, for that conversation. That is gonna be high. It's gonna be uncomfortable. This was uncomfortable.
for sure.
But as I continue to speak about it, it's like things that people need to hear.
Yeah,
Because I wish I knew this. I wish I heard this.
yeah,
I mean, would they have changed some things? Maybe, maybe not. But at the same time, is the fact that I still heard it. I still know of the mindset behind it.
mhm,
Maybe some things would have been differently, right? There's no
mhm.
shame at the end of the day. It's just being aware of what just the things that it's doing to you. And if you're not aware of it,
You haven't noticed what it's already changed in you.
you haven't noticed what it actually changed in you.
Yeah, people don't
Towards
wanna
low.
open up about it and be vulnerable about it. But I think most people feel a sense of like, "Oh, I feel like it's not adding to my life, like, I wanna change it," but a lot of people don't know how. So,
Exactly.
I do hope that this episode was helpful for people who listen to it fully, and yeah, and for women out there, like if you have gone through similar experiences, to feel less shame about yourself and to feel less just like you're not normal, like you're the only one, because you're definitely not the only one. I know definitely am not the only woman out there, but it does take me stepping up with boldness to talk about it for other women to potentially feel like, oh, you know what? I wasn't the only one. I'm so glad this was talked about. So I do hope that people walk away with that. Definitely share us on on social media, subscribe, comment down below what you most got out of this. And yeah, don't forget to follow us as well.
And we catch you on the next one.
Bye.